What is going on, everybody? If you don't know, now you do know. You're officially tuned in to a very special edition of the HFWB Podcast Series. This is your host, Clifton Pope, and I'm back with this special solo edition of the HFWB Podcast Series. And the reason why I said it's a special edition twice is because today's date is Friday, November the 17th, 2023. And by the time you'll be listening to this episode, it will probably be available on all podcast streaming platforms: Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, you name it. It will also be available on the YouTube channel for Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business. Be sure to subscribe to that YouTube channel as well. This episode will be out on tomorrow's date, November the 18th. So overall, I'm excited about putting together this episode right now. A lot's been going on lately for me, and overall, it's just been very busy, but at the same time, it's been very productive as far as just continuing the process of collaborating with all the movers and shakers who I admire and who inspire me to work very hard, to where it's like I want to collaborate with them on a unity in the community vibe, and most importantly, healing the community versus killing the community. So overall, it's definitely been a very busy week. It's been a very productive week. I have a couple of things coming up here as well. As a matter of fact, by the time you're listening to this episode of the HFWB Podcast Series, I've already done 3 events that are actually coming up here. As for instance, on November the 18th, for those who are listening to this at a later date, I would have done a free group training class for the community at Hemisphere Cafe for their Think Fit for the Holidays event that they're have going on. And for those who aren't familiar with Hemisphere Cafe, it's a local coffee shop that also serves like protein shakes, protein smoothies. It has wonderful types of food like muffins and all that kind of stuff. And they're a local cafe located here in Corpus Christi, Texas, that just recently opened up on September the 1st, if I'm not mistaken. That's when they had their grand opening and presented themselves to the city of Corpus Christi, Texas. Like, we're here, we're a local business, come out, please support us, all that wonderful stuff. But overall, long story short on how that event came together, I actually did a poetic night speaking event, and that was done on November the 3rd, just about 2 weeks ago today, as a matter of fact. It was done. And a good friend of mine, Monique Dennis, shout out to her. I had her on my podcast last year and actually recorded that episode on my birthday, which is what a lot of people don't realize. But fast forward to Hemisphere Cafe, she asked me to be a part of her poetic nights, do a speaking event. The owner, Mr. Dexter Rhines, loved the presentation that I did as far as speaking my poem, speaking my piece, keeping the peace. And then also the social media person for Hemisphere Cafe, her name was Yvette Montavo. Me and her, we were talking off and on as far as just having me involved and coming to do like a workout there and stuff like that. I didn't realize there was going to be other individuals that were involved in the actual event, as far as back to basics meal prepping by a woman named Christina. There was actually another trainer who's going to be there named Coach Nelda. She's part of this fitness camp group called Camp Gladiators. Then you have F45 personal training, who's also going to be there. All these different vendors and everything, and all these local fitness professionals coming together as far as just spreading the most important message of you got to think fit is your overall gift for the holidays. So by the time you're listening to this episode, I would have already completed that event at Hemisphere Cafe for the most part. So that's something that's definitely going to be worth being a part of without a doubt. And it's just so many things coming up in the next few days. And it's like, by the time you listen to this episode, I've already done a couple of speaking events as well. As a matter of fact, on November the 20th, which is this coming Monday, for those who are listening to the podcast episode right now, I would have done a speaking event, speaking at a junior correctional facility for a group of all boys and all girls just to kind of inspire them to like be the best versions of themselves they can be, empower, uplift, inspire them, all that wonderful stuff, and just show they could heal themselves from within as far as just doing a nice little workout as well. So by the time that this episode comes out, you would have heard about that, and I would have done that as well. And on top of that, I'm also getting involved with another sports and recreational league, slowly but surely, called End Zone Sports Corpus Christi. I want to give a special shout out to the owner, Mr. Gilberto Quinones. We had a very productive meeting earlier this week, and we kind of talked about, collaborating and stuff like that, me coming in to speak to the kids and all that stuff to kind of motivate them, inspire them, that kind of stuff. And at the same time, I may or may not put together my own basketball league within that sports and recreational league, the End Zone Sports Corpus Christi, in spring 2024. Who knows? We talked about it. We may put that together. So that's a exclusive for everybody who's listening to the HFWB Podcast Series, is that I'm just trying to make moves, man. I'm already just trying to transition into 2024 as we speak. And it's crazy because a lot of stuff is coming up to end 2023 on a very great note. And then the month of December is going to be very, very busy as well, as far as I'm kicking things off by running my first half a marathon on December the 3rd, which will be in San Antonio, Texas, the Rock and Roll Marathon Series. I've been training for my first half a marathon for like literally the last 2 months. I got a chance to kind of rest my body a little bit because I didn't want to overdo it and all that wonderful stuff. So I kind of just was able to scale back a little bit. I actually went on a nice 4-mile run, which was my first run that I did in like a week. So I kind of picked up right where I left off. And overall, my goal is this coming Sunday, for those who are listening to this HFWB Podcast Series episode after this Sunday, November the 19th, I would have completed 11 miles, maybe 12 miles, depending on how much of a bounce I have in my step. That way I can get close to the actual length of a half a marathon and get my body used to it, which is 13.1 miles. And then, of course, I'll scale back, and then I won't do really that much heavy running until like the actual race. That way I go easy on my body. That's kind of the process on how you do things, because I've gotten great advice from people who've run half marathons, full marathons, and they always say you never want to run the actual distance of a race too close to the actual race. That way you can give your body time to scale back, recover, and of course have the strength from within to where it comes down to race time, the body's already used to it once you get the actual run going. So that's kind of the process that I've been doing as far as with the half a marathon training for the Rock and Roll Marathon Series. And to be completely honest, the closer that it's getting, the more that it's starting to sink in, like, man, I'm really about to do this and I'm really about to make this happen. And it's like, hey, it's something that'll definitely be probably one of my greatest physical or greatest fitness accomplishments overall, because not a lot of people could say they've run a half a marathon. So it's like, that's check mark off the list for me. And honestly, my goal in 2024, I want to run at least maybe one full marathon. I don't know where it's going to be at. When is it going to be? But sometime in the year 2024, I will run a full marathon. I'm just going to run probably just one full marathon. I'm not going to do multiple marathons, but I may do, at least while I still have the extra bounce in my step and energy, I plan on doing at least 1 or 2 marathons within the course of my life. That'll be good enough for me to where I could say, hey, I ran a marathon. Not a lot of people could even say that. So 2024, I will run probably another half a marathon, and I will definitely run a full marathon in 2024 as well. And you heard it here first on the HFWB Podcast Series. And I'm usually a man of my word on most things that I say, because usually when I say something, I usually like to do it 9 times out of 10. So with that being said, you heard it here first. 2024, yours truly, Clifton Pope of Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business, will run at least another half a marathon and a full marathon, because it allows me the opportunity to basically find ways to elevate myself within my own fitness journey, because I'm not the most perfect athlete in the world, but I do a fantastic job at staying consistent as far as just really training my mind to where the body can follow and really establishing that mind-body connection, because they're interconnected as one. And when they're on the same page, it's like a wave that's synchronized together and it flows beautifully. So overall, that's what's going on as far as with the half a marathon and everything. We're about 2 weeks away from this coming Sunday. So December the 3rd, Rock and Roll Marathon Series, myself and 3 of the other personal trainers who I work with at Results Company's Personal Training, where I do my group training classes and train a few of my personal training clients and stuff like that. We're all getting an Airbnb. We're all going to be in San Antonio, Texas, and we're going to make that race happen on December the 3rd. And we're going to represent Corpus Christi, Texas very, very well. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm also looking forward to just embracing the overall holidays and just embracing the fact that I can't believe that Thanksgiving is literally right around the corner. And by the time you're listening to this episode of the HFWB Podcast Series, it may already be past Thanksgiving. But my favorite moments of Thanksgiving growing up always is just being with the people who I love and who I care about the most, and having the opportunity to just eat some wonderful, wonderful food and indulge in it, not necessarily overeat, but indulge in it to where it's like it's worth the feast and it's all that's wonderful stuff. But at the same time, Thanksgiving does have a little bit of a dark side for many, many reasons. And I'm going to point out 2 of them that stick out the most about Thanksgiving, because I got to look at it from both sides. I got to look at it from the good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, the bad and the ugly kind of go hand in hand. So I want to focus on the bad and the ugly just briefly about Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving, for those who don't realize this, Thanksgiving was basically based off of murder, for people who don't realize it. If you go back in time in history, it had to do with like all the pilgrims murdering the Indians and all that stuff. And they would basically celebrate the fact that they killed all the Indians at that time over a feast. That's something that history doesn't tell you about Thanksgiving, and a lot of people have mentioned that before. As a matter of fact, Jay-Z actually said it a few times in his song. He said something along the lines that Thanksgiving sounds like a murder to me. It's not a coincidence. I mean, last time I checked, during the era of like 1620, the year 1620, if I'm not mistaken correctly, that was like when Thanksgiving was beginning to be established. And ironically enough, that's when the pilgrims at the time were coming into America, slowly but surely killing off all the Indians and making them extinct and all that. And they would celebrate by having a big old feast over it and just glorifying over it, basically. That's some history. That's a history lesson that they won't teach you in school. And if you don't believe everything I just said, go ahead and look it up yourself. I mean, it's Google information. Type it in on Google, because Google is always your friend. Don't forget that. The second and last thing I want to mention about the dark side of Thanksgiving is that a lot of people don't realize this, but we're actually celebrating one of the seven deadly sins on Halloween, which is glutamine, and which what a lot of people don't realize what glutamine means. It's over excessive eating or over excessive drinking and just basically filling yourself up like a pig for the most part. And that's the good and that's the bad side of it to a certain extent. And honestly, that's what seems so good. It's like what's so bad makes you feel so good, right? I mean, who doesn't like stuffing themselves with wonderful food or wonderful recipes that they cherish to them and that they look forward to on that day of Thanksgiving and stuff like that. So that's something I wanted to point out there, just 2 things as far as the bad and the ugly side of Thanksgiving, because there's 2 sides to every story. There's the good and there's the bad and all that wonderful stuff. And we got to look at it from the overall context of it, right? So now that we covered the bad and the ugly side, as far as Thanksgiving basically being based off of murder, with the pilgrims killing off a bunch of Indians and celebrating over a feast, and us celebrating one of the seven deadly sins. But at the end of the day, we're all born sinners trying to have become forgiven for our sins to begin with. It basically celebrates glutonomy, which is over excessive eating and drinking, which is something that y'all probably didn't know. And again, if you don't believe me, type it in, look it up. Google is your friend. You heard it here first on the HFWB Podcast Series, where information is the new money, right? But let me focus on the good here, get back on a positive, more uplifting, inspiring vibe here. Thanksgiving is all about practicing gratitude, which is the most important thing as far as just realizing what you're thankful for, what you're grateful for. And it could be anything. You could be thankful for, I don't know, the job that you have. You could be thankful for the relationship that you're in. Some would probably be thankful for how much money they have, which is always nice at the end of the day. But most importantly, you have to be, at least to me, you have to be thankful for basically the position that you're in, how far you've come, but at the same time, how far you have to go. You have to be thankful for the overall journey. You have to focus on just, again, being the best version of yourself that you could be and take it one day at a time, one step at a time. You got to be grateful for the big things. You have to be grateful for the small things. And you have to be grateful for everything in between. And I honestly, truly believe if you practice those three things, as far as those three different levels of gratitude, being grateful for everything big, being grateful for everything small, and at the same time, being grateful for everything in between, you'll basically attack gratitude in three different layers. And most importantly, just give thanks to just everything. The number one thing, honestly, you should be thankful for, and not just on Thanksgiving, but every single day. You need to be thankful for waking up and having the opportunity to see another day, because tomorrow's not promised. Don't ever forget that. And I want to give you a friendly reminder of that as well. So that's something I want to have stick to you, the people, for whoever's listening. I'm challenging you on this Thanksgiving edition of the HFWB Podcast Series. Be grateful for everything big, everything small, and everything in between. And I guarantee you things are going to work out to your advantage. And I guarantee you're going to enjoy your favorite holiday as well. Or if it is your favorite holiday, Thanksgiving. And I know if you're wondering, hey, what do you like to eat on Thanksgiving? What are your favorite Thanksgiving traditions and stuff like that? Me, honestly, what I'm planning on doing on Thanksgiving this year is I'm probably going to start off my morning, probably going to spend a little bit of time with my dad as he begins to get everything ready for Thanksgiving and having the gathering with his significant other one and her family and stuff like that. Then I'm going to do what I usually have been doing every year for Thanksgiving for the last few years or so. I'm going to go over to my mom's house, and myself and the love of my life, Emily Espinosa, will probably go over to my mom's house during like the afternoon portion of the game. We usually like to go over there like right when the Cowboys game comes on, usually around the afternoon time. That's usually when everyone begins to start eating and stuff. We'll probably go there, watch the Cowboys game, maybe watch like the first half of it or something like that. And then we'll jet back to our house where I'm currently at right now. We'll jet back to our house and we'll basically celebrate the love of my life, Emily Espinosa's, have all her family come over, and we'll probably just indulge in a wonderful Thanksgiving feast of our own to close things out. Because everybody likes to eat in different periods at a time. Some people like eating in the afternoon. Others prefer the evening. So we're going to accommodate a little bit of all of those things as far as within Thanksgiving. And honestly, my ideal Thanksgiving dish, for those who are wondering, just give me a turkey leg, a couple of pieces of ham, some mac and cheese, a little bit of dressing, a nice roll or two, maybe a green bean casserole, broccoli, cheese and rice casserole, something of that nature, some sort of vegetable casserole, so to speak. I'm for whatever when it comes to that. And obviously my favorite desserts as far as for Thanksgiving is probably pecan pie, apple pie, and sweet potato pie. Those are my three go-to pies, and I'm probably going to have a little bit of each of those three pies as well. So for those who are wondering, I just need a nice turkey leg, a couple pieces of ham, maybe a spoonful of mashed potatoes, half the plate with macaroni and cheese, and whatever's left, throw like some dressing in there, maybe a nice little vegetable casserole and a nice little row or two, and maybe a splash of cranberry sauce if it's available. And I'm good for Thanksgiving, to be completely honest. But other than that, and of course, finish it off with a nice little slice of pecan pie, apple pie, sweet potato pie, or a little bit of all three of those pies for dessert. So that is pretty much my Thanksgiving tradition as far as how I like to indulge in my favorite foods, and of course have a couple of alcohol beverages, just to kind of take the edge off because it is the holidays and stuff like that. And I usually like to do that. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you don't overdo it and you don't do it excessively. I feel like you could do it in moderation, of course. But other than that, now that we touched on, of course, the Thanksgiving side of things, I want to kind of transition into the next thing I want to talk about real quick on the HFWB Podcast Series. I remember the last solo episode I did, I dove into a little bit of the primal pattern movement as far as what I do with personal training, where I got trained to become a personal trainer at Results Company's Personal Training, which as far as healthier living with a holistic approach, basing it off of 6 common denominator movements, primal pattern movements. Basically, if you can do a push exercise, pull exercise, utilize proper bending and rotation, twisting techniques, along with mastering the lunge and the squat and everything. And of course, throwing in some gait movement on top of that, which incorporates, walking, running, sprinting, all that wonderful stuff. If you could do all those things in a primal setting environment without any kind of movement compromise, any dysfunction or pain, you'll be in good shape as far as overall just being the healthiest, happiest, whole individual you can be from an overall physical perspective, and at the same time, a mental perspective as well. Because when you factor in the nutrition aspect of things, breathing, thinking, hydration, movement, and overall sleep, it all ties together, and it all goes back to, the 4 doctors as well, as far as Dr. Movement, Dr. Happy, Dr. Quiet, and Dr. Diet, which is based off of the studies of Mr. Paul Chek and the Chek Institute, which is basically the blueprint that Results Company's personal training basically follows. And that's healthier living with a holistic approach, basing it off of how to eat, move, be healthy, and movement that matters, which is ironically enough 2 of Paul Chek's book that myself and all the personal trainers at Results Company's personal training basically study and kind of we practice basically all these techniques ourselves, and we pass it on to everybody who comes into group training classes at Results. And all of our one-on-one personal training clients we kind of pass on the importance of all these things. And speaking of all these things, I want to kind of tackle 2 more of the primal pattern movements. I know I focused on push and pull factor, the last solo episode of the podcast I did. So I want to kind of dive in a little bit to kind of like 2 more of the primal pattern movements, and I alluded to them a second ago. I want to start off with the bend, right? Which is basically focusing primarily like on a hip hinge. And that's very, very important, because if you take it back to the caveman days, in order for the caveman, right, to kind of like build shelter, prepare food, lift objects, so to speak, they had to utilize some sort of bend pattern to basically make that happen. And at the same time, most people don't realize this, the overall bend pattern is being used today by modern employees like construction workers, nurses, for instance. And it's even being utilized at home as far as parents bending down and having to pick up their kids. Anytime a mom has to bend down and bend her hip over just to pick up her kid, you're utilizing basically what they call a hip hinge. Or for instance, the most popular way a bending pattern is basically being used, it's also being used in the golf swing. You ever notice whenever golfers are basically getting ready to tee off and hit the golf ball, they're basically in a bending pattern the whole time, addressing the ball, making sure it's on point, on target before they release back and twist into the swing and stuff like that. You start off in a hip hinge, ironically enough, while addressing the ball as a golfer. All golfers know that. And then you adjust by getting in a nice little upright position and engaging in a nice little twist as you're swinging down and swinging forward into the golf swing. And that's kind of like the purposes of the bend pattern. It kind of focuses mainly just on utilizing your hips, which are very, very important. And at the same time, you're kind of affecting a little bit of your lower back as well within doing hip hinges. For instance, if you ever notice, for those who go to the gym and real gym heads know this, whenever you go do a deadlift, right, you're basically starting off bending down in a hip hinge, basically grabbing the barbell with the weight on there, and then you're slowly coming up from that hip hinge, standing in a nice centered aligned position to complete the deadlift. That's pretty much how that works out for the most part. And if you do it correctly, you will perform that movement to its fullest capabilities every single time. And obviously, if you don't do it correctly, the chances of injury escalate and everything. The other thing that I want to talk about as far as on the HFWB Podcast Series relating to primal pattern movement, before I transition into a couple of other things, I want to talk about, the twist, how, like I mentioned a second ago, when the golfers have to adjust by swinging and going into it with a nice little twist. Well, I don't know if you realize this or not, but the twist is actually the most important of all the primal pattern movements because it's an integral part of most functional activities. I mean, it has a great influence basically on the efficiency of any primal pattern movement. And honestly, a lot of people don't realize this. Twisting is literally an essential part of basically throwing in general. Like if you ever notice, like for instance, in football, when it comes to like the quarterback throwing the ball, the quarterback has to time his twist with the extension of the throw every single time. And most people think that it's easy. It may look easy, but that comes with repetition and everything and practice making the most perfect possible form you can make out of it. And at the same time, going back to the caveman days, right? When a caveman had to go hunting, all they had was a spear. The best way you could throw a spear is literally by twisting your body and throwing it in a nice up forward motion, right? Now, fast forward from throwing a spear from the caveman days, hunting from their food, to the modern day athlete in throwing, like for instance, football with the quarterback throwing the football, or baseball where the pitcher has to wind up and make a nice little twist and then go forward into that lunge in order to throw the pitch to the hitter and everything on home plate and stuff like that. My overall point is that twisting is an essential part of throwing, which was key for hunting and protection back in the days for the caveman and everything. And here's a little fun fact about twisting and everything. Did you know that the most common source of back injuries basically involves is a movement that basically combines twisting and bending, which a lot of people don't even know. Just let that sink in. The two things that I talked about within primal pattern movement in the second part of our 3-part series on primal pattern movement on the HFWB Podcast Series, the twist and the bend, if not done correctly, are basically the most common source of back injuries. So let that sink in for a second. And you don't want to mess your back up because that's going to enable you from standing up straight and standing up tall and walk tall as you should. So that's just something I want to throw out there as far as from a primal pattern movement perspective as we break down primal pattern movement one series at a time, and that is part 2 of a 3-part series on primal pattern movement. And to be clear, this won't be the only time I bring up primal pattern movement. I'll probably talk a lot about it a little bit more in details going into 2024. I'll probably do a whole nother series just based off of primal pattern movement and really diving into the actual science behind it, as far as a deeper series in 2024 to where I really isolate each of the primal pattern movements a little bit more. So you're basically going to be hearing about primal pattern movement a whole lot more in 2024 and beyond on the HFWB Podcast Series. I want to throw that out there. Another thing I wanted to throw out there is, of course, for those who don't know, myself and the love of my life, Emily Espinosa, we do have sea moss gel available. We have it available in original flavor. We have it available in tropical mango, strawberry lemon, mixed berry, and of course green apple, which is our newest flavor that we have available as well. We're doing all of this to say, basically, we're just trying to heal people with 92 of the vitamins and minerals that the body overall needs. And it's basically essential for basically the overall health and giving you all the stuff to protect you from like the antibacterial and antiviral properties and stuff like that. I want to throw in a couple of benefits that I feel is important as far as just the reason why sea moss can be effective in your life. Did you know that sea moss basically can help you out as far as with your bones and your overall joints? Because it has like everything from like the omega-3 fatty acids to the selenium. It has the vitamin K. It basically has all those necessary essential elements to help out with bone and joint health. And it basically helps out with building strong bones, and it's basically a natural anti-inflammatory for joints. And that's very critical, especially for those who work out and stuff like that. Like I myself, I took some sea moss gel earlier this morning, and it gave me an extra bounce in my step as far as to get me through the day. And it also helped out in the recovery process after doing another leg day workout myself. So imagine taking the sea moss gel along with doing like, some foam roll action to kind of stretch out the joint and everything before you work out, after you work out, etc. You'll basically have strong bones and strong joints to where you can continue to add on muscle to complement those strong bones and strong joints and stuff like that. So I wanted to throw that out there as far as like a key benefit as far as to what sea moss gel can do for the most part. And that's something I want to definitely allude to for the most part. Another thing I wanted to throw out there as far as what's going on in the world of health, fitness, wealth, business, the love of my life, Miss Emily Espinosa, and we are officially now new affiliates of a new affiliate called Tranont, and I'm actually bringing it up right here. It basically helps you discover like the new you, transform your health from inside and out. And it's like, it's like very plant-based. It's like very organic, as a matter of fact. It has no parabens, no gluten, no harmful colors, harmful fragrances or stuff like that. They're very high quality products that provide a great standard of performance, and it basically is safe and effective and thoughtfully formulated to improve your overall well-being. And that is called Tranont. I'm probably saying it wrong, but I'm going to spell it out for you. It's Tranont. Google it. It's Googleable information, of course. And it's like plant-based products and stuff like that. And as a matter of fact, I actually have some of the products here. And for those who are watching the video on YouTube or listening to the audio version of it, I'm basically holding up a couple of my products here. They literally just came into the mail like a few days ago. I kind of got like the Gym Flow bundle. They have different bundles you can have and stuff like that. Although one of the products didn't come in because it's out of stock and stuff like that. And it's like Transform. It's very, very effective because it's like the overall mission of Tranont is basically It's a group of accomplished entrepreneurs who are dedicated to helping individuals and families improve their health, create more wealth, and leave a lasting impact. And ironically enough, it only made more sense for my love and I to kind of partner with this affiliate because it ties into everything that health, fitness, wealth business is about. So overall, it's a wonderful product to basically include into your life. As you can tell, I have the Mojo Energizing Focus Blend for those who are watching on YouTube or those listening to the audio. It's basically the Mojo Energizing Focus Blend. It's a dietary supplement beverage powder, and it's basically like a cocoa flavored drink that uses 8 natural derived ingredients to help boost your energy. It curbs your cravings as far as like your appetite and stuff like that, and it improves your mood. I kid you not. I took a smoothie of that. Excuse me. I took a smoothie of that maybe about a couple of days ago, and it had me going like literally all day to where I was getting stuff done. I had that focus. My mood was basically nice and well balanced. And at the same time, I had the energy necessary to get all the things that I needed done through the day. And also, I have a couple of other products as well. I have the Boost Nitric Oxide formula, which are some capsules. And basically the purpose of that helps promote nitric oxide production, help support overall heart health, blood flow, and facilitate circulation. And at the same time, I got my enriched digestive enzyme blend with stabilized probiotics. And of course, for those who know about probiotics, it helps out with healthy digestion, nutrient absorption, and overall gut health. So I got the ultimate package within my gym bundle, Tranont. And I guarantee you we're going to definitely be doing like another series on this. Be on the lookout for another series of this, probably coming within either next month or going into 2024. We're going to be myself and the love of my life, Emily Espinosa. We're probably going to be doing podcast episodes together on the HFWB Podcast Series, to where we're just going to have a whole segment just talking about the importance of Tranont and how it has influenced us in taking our health and wellness journey and our overall fitness journey on the next level as well. So stay tuned for that, because we're trying to get people to sign up for this. We have a couple of people who've already signed up for this. And for anybody who's interested in signing up for this, you can visit my Facebook page, the Health, Fitness, Wealth Business Facebook page, and definitely get more insight on how you can sign up for it. You can contact myself. You can contact the love of my life, Emily Espinosa, and we'll get you on the right track on getting you your bundle to begin the process of creating generational health, generational wealth, which will also equal more blessings on blessings for your overall life going forward as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well, as far as just the importance of that. Other than that, I'm just grateful, honestly, for another day and just getting things done, most importantly, for health, fitness, wealth business. There's a lot to come. A lot's in the works. I barely had time to even sit down and record this podcast interview, but I know I had to get it done just so I can keep y'all in tune with what's going on in the course of the world of health, fitness, wealth business. A lot of stuff, man. I mean, I still got the podcast going. I'm actually working on writing another book, as a matter of fact. I still have my 2 self-published books, What's Wealth Without Work and Dollar and a Vision, to help you out with your overall personal development, and at the same time give you an insight of the origin of HFWB and what's to come as well. So I have What's Wealth Without Work and Dollar and a Vision, both available on Amazon right now. Be sure to get your copy if you haven't gotten your copy yet. If you haven't, shame on you. They're both available on Amazon. What's Wealth Without Work is available for $10 on Amazon, while Dollar and a Vision is available on Amazon for $15. So for literally $25, you can literally invest in the overall origin of HFWB and what's to come, as far as what you can learn based off of just valuable information, based off of what I bring to the table with my overall expertise and my overall experience. So be sure to cop What's Wealth Without Work and Dollar and a Vision. They're both available on Amazon as we speak. And at the same time, I also have my own entrepreneurship course for those who are like struggling with a 9 to 5 and who want to transition into entrepreneurship, having their own business and their own brand and company, etc., and don't know necessarily where to start. Go on to udemy.com, that's udemy.com, and search Hustle and Motivate, Activate the Mind to the Grind course by yours truly, Clifton Pope. Or as a matter of fact, you can Google that as well, and you can sign up for my entrepreneurship course, which is available for $20 to $25 sign up. And you can basically learn the basics on my overall experience as far as what it takes to be an overall entrepreneur and at least get started on that to where you can make something out of nothing for the most part. I'm still taking personal training clients as well. I do charge $40 an hour for 2 sessions a week, one full upper body, one full lower body. And at the same time, we're going to do a nice little proper warm up to help prevent injuries. We're going to do the actual workout, and then we'll do some cool down, focusing on our breathing techniques and overall static stretching to immediately begin the recovery process. That way we can help build more strength going forward into the next workout. So for anyone who's interested in signing up for my personal training program, you can give me a call at 361-765-4760, or you can shoot me an email at cpope.cp@gmail.com, and we can set up a free one-on-one consultation where we can put together a program, a plan to get you on track, whether it's weight loss, muscle gain, having the right nutrition values in store, or just overall just having more energy, because who doesn't like having more energy, right? I still have my meditation practice as well. You know, I am taking one-on-one clients for meditation practice, and I'm also doing group meditation sessions as well for those who may need it, just so we can explore the mind, to overall restore it, and just guide you through the process of aligning your chakra system and basically just accepting things for what it is, realizing that you're complete from within, and just moving forward and focusing on the power of now, because the future starts now. So again, you can give me a call at 361-765-4760, or message me or email me, at cpope.cp@gmail.com, all lowercase. That way we can set up a session within that. If you need any, and if y'all need to get at me with this sea moss gel as well, again, I have original, tropical mango, strawberry lemon, green apple, and mixed berry. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get ready to make some more sea moss gel once I finish recording this episode. I have jars available for $25 a jar. You can message myself. You can message the love of my life, Miss Emily Espinosa, on Facebook, and we can get you set up with any kind of customizable flavor or order you may need, and we'll accommodate you. And at the same time, you need to get at us and become part of this Tranont movement and basically transform yourself as far as creating generational health and generational wealth for yourself. You can literally get you a nice little gem bundle like this. I'm not making this up. This is no scam. We're trying to get you on track to where you can say, I am the way I am, as far as being the best version of yourself that you can be. So if you want to be involved in the transit movement and get your own nice little bundle to get you on track with your overall health and wellness journey, again, message myself or Emily Espinosa, and we can get you on track without a doubt. And again, I just thank y'all for taking time out of your day just to be a part of the HFWB Podcast Series, wherever you may be, however you may be listening. Be sure to visit my website, healthfitnesswealthbusiness.com/CP, for all the exclusive content that Health Fitness Wealth Business has to offer. And at the same time, follow me on all of my social media handles. You can follow me on my personal page on Facebook, which is just my name, Clifton Pope, or you could definitely follow me on the Health Fitness Wealth Business Facebook page. Type in the word Health Fitness Wealth Business, all lowercase. Hit that follow button, hit that like button, check out all the content. You won't be disappointed. And at the same time, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel as well by typing in all lowercase health, fitness, wealth, business. Hit that subscribe button and subscribe to all the exclusive content that's on the YouTube channel for health, fitness, wealth, business. You can follow me on Instagram at cpope_44, which is my personal Instagram account. You can follow me on there for all the exclusive content for health, fitness, wealth, business. You can follow me on TikTok, all lowercase, at healthfwealthb. Again, that's healthf, the letter F, and then wealth, the letter B, .cp, my personal initials. Follow me on my official TikTok channel as well and check out my daily motivational reels and exclusive content that I post on there. You don't want to miss out on that, right? And at the same time, just continue to just subscribe, download, and stream every episode of the HFWB Podcast Series. It's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Spotify Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Google Podcasts, any kind of podcast platform, I don't care. Download, stream, and subscribe to the HFWB Podcast Series, where information is the new money, and the more informed and educated we are, the more rich and powerful we become before the money and the revenue and all the stuff that comes with it even comes into place. Never forget that. And with that being said, this is yours truly, Clifton Pope, Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business. I appreciate y'all's support, and may everybody stay healthy, wealthy, and blessed. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and let's think fit as your overall gift going into this holiday season for 2023. Until next time, peace and love, y'all.